Hello, YouTube. This is Mary once again. I'm going to come and make a quick video. I just had this epiphany, or whatever you want to call it. And when I think about it, it's really simple. And I wonder how come I didn't realize this before now. But I was thinking about all of the visions I tell y'all that I've seen. Just visions. There's so many of them. And I couldn't figure out while I'm having the vision, is my eyes closed or what am I doing? Am I asleep or it's just, I don't know. I've always wondered that. But today I was just sitting down, meditating and thinking. And I realized that when I have visions, it starts out with me thinking and daydreaming. Just thinking about basically nothing. Nothing to do with the vision. That's what I'm trying to say. Nothing to do with the vision. My mind has to be free of my thoughts. And I'm free of my thoughts, even though I'm daydreaming, because daydreaming is me and my thoughts projecting something that I want to happen in the future for me or something in the past. I can daydream about people who have wronged me. I'm daydreaming how God need to get them and all of that. But when I'm having a vision, I'm daydreaming, but basically nothing evil or nothing angry. I'm just daydreaming and thinking about the breeze and what a pleasant day it is. And then it's like I go into a trance and my eyes are open, but I don't see anything around me. And it's came to me today. That's how I do it, and probably everybody does it like this. But Harold and I were at the dinner table eating, and I could hear him talking, and I was commenting, but then a thought came into my mind, and I kind of drifted away, and I could hear what he's saying, but I couldn't. It didn't make sense. It was just like somebody talking, and I don't understand the language, and I started daydreaming about something, and then I kind of shook myself and I said, "Oh, that's how we daydream." And then once, it's rare, but it's like another dimension comes in and takes over my mind. I don't know about your mind, but it takes over my mind and shows me something totally different that I couldn't make it up if I wanted to. It's like out of nowhere, I'm seeing something. I'm in a different place. I'm gonna put it like that. So I don't know how people do that, because so many people say they see visions, and I know it's a part or some kind of way you can manipulate what you think is a vision, which is actually a daydream. You could just daydream and carry on, but you are in control of it. And a lot of people say that God gave me this vision and blah, 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 when it's actually a part of a continuing daydream that their mind has created. So I was just thinking about that, and I was trying to figure out how many daydreams did I did I turn into a vision. I was thinking about the first vision that I had. I'm sitting in church, and it was a Church of God in Christ, and it was noisy, and the music, and everybody was, Holy Ghost everywhere. And I was just sitting there, but all of a sudden I felt so sad, just the saddest feeling. And my eyes were closed. I know that because I usually have my eyes closed in church, because you're looking and it just interferes with your concentration on God, because people be clowning and your thoughts get to running wild. So I had my eyes closed, and all of a sudden I was still in church, but it was a pink casket in front of me. and I couldn't hear music anymore. It was silence. And I was saying, "Oh, a casket." And I got up, and the next thing I know, I'm looking, just slowly walking to this casket. It was a pink casket. And I said, "Ooh, I want to see who it is," out of curiosity. So I kind of slowly walked, and when I looked in the casket, it was my mother's face in the casket. And she was wearing a pink gown, and she was in a pink casket. And when I saw her face, I snapped out of that vision, daydream, whatever you want to call it. And I screamed, and I cried. It was just hysterical. And the people in church, they tried to calm me down. And my mother, she was hugging me and telling me what's the matter, asked me what was the matter, and blah blah blah. And it took a while. They had to almost carry me out of church because I saw my mother in a casket, and I was not daydreaming about that. The first time that ever happened to me. And I cried all the way home. And my mother said, "Mary, what did you see? What was wrong with you?" I didn't want to tell her, but I started crying again. And I told her, I said, "Mama, I saw you in a casket, a pink casket, and you had on a pink gown." And I was expecting her to say, "No, baby, there was just something you in your mind and all of that." But the only thing she said was, "I'm ready to go home. I fought a good fight and I finished my course, Mary." And I was just tore up. I mean, after that, I just wasn't the same person. And time passed by, weeks and everything. I get over that, and I just kind of dismissed daydreaming. I didn't want to ever do that again. But do you know, 9 months later, God, 9 months later, we had to bury my mother, and I was like 17, so I didn't have any say so in nothing. My grandmother took care of all the arrangements, and my mother was buried in a pink coffin with a pink gown. And do you know, at the funeral, I was sitting in the same seat at the funeral as where I was sitting when I saw the vision. So that was not a daydream. It just that I would never let that cross my mind. And after that, I started seeing other visions and stuff. And I prayed because I couldn't do church like I used to when my mother was living, because she was the what do they the armor bearer or whatever. She was the one that was directing me and showing me how to live a Christian life and all that. So after, when she died, I was just lost. And the church members, man, they abandoned us, and they knew we barely had food to eat. My brother was a diabetic. He was juvenile diabetic. He had to eat. My father was an alcoholic, and he was never at home. No, none of us had a job. So I think my brother had a job, but he, if his sugar go up, he couldn't. It was sad, but there was only one member in that church that brought us food, and sometimes she would take us to her house and feed us. That woman was a saint, but the church members talked about her like a dog. But I didn't know this until uh, my mother died in October. 3 months later, the pastor's daughter asked me to come work in her drapery shop. So I didn't have any money, so I said yes. She said she would train me. Man, I got in that drapery shop. I heard so much gossip, so much that stuff. Cause you hold these preachers, and this woman was a holy woman, the pastor's daughter. You hold them in such high esteem, and this woman, she raised up her dress and was talking about this lady that had been feeding us. She talked about her like a dog, her and her sister. It was the worst thing I ever heard. And I started crying, and I'd go into her house because she had a shop in the garage, separate garage, and I would cry. And at the end of the day, I don't know who took me home. I just don't remember how I got home because I wasn't driving. I just turned 18. But that, just to see this, I said, these people are they worse than boy. So I almost had a nervous breakdown because of that. So when I saw all of this, I just lost faith in the church and the thing that was going on. But this inner being, this God, is the one that carried me through all of that. But I tell you, I asked God, I said, I cannot have these visions. I don't want to do that no more. And then I started having dreams. It was like, God, why are you doing this to me? And the dreams started coming true. It was like, I can't rest. I can't get away from this stuff. And this went on for years and years and years. And I was so confused. I would try to go back to church. You know, you have to tell the saints, say, forgive me, blah, 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 and all of that. And I said to myself, all the stuff they do, how come they don't never repent? You better not miss church for 3 weeks. You got to ask the saints to forgive you. But I thank God, I'm so thankful that I was able to let all that stuff peel away and shed from me. And you just stand on the God that you know. And it's a wonderful thing. But people who are still bound by religion, I really feel sorry for them, because the freedom that you have, that you can have rather, it's amazing. And even when I first got the freedom, the old me still wonder, oh, I'm scared, I'm this and that, and I'd go back and I'd say, oh, and I got so tired of running back and forth to the church, and the time I actually left the church, I left so far. I want to be so far away from this stuff till I ran into drugs. That's how I was running. I just said, I can't do this back and forth. I want the saints to forgive me. So I ran into the street life. But lo and behold, God was right there with me the whole time. I can tell you some stories. Get my book, Going Home Another Way. And man, by Mary E. Sims. It's at Amazon. But that's an amazing story. And the story was meant to be, it was my diary, because I had been clean from drugs, I know, 6 years. But I was still afraid of relapse. I mean, I would work all day, and in the evening, dark time come, the Jones get you, and I said, Lord, it's gonna be a rough night, but I am not going back to the drugs. And one day, I was getting off from work. All the employees had gone home, and I was cleaning up the shop. I said, Lord, how long am I gonna be afraid of relapse? The voice says to me, Mary, you're going to have to write your way out of this. And I said, what? I mean, that's the relationship I have with myself. And I said, write my way out of this. I said, yes, you're going to have to write in a diary. That's the only way you're going to get out of this. So I'm sitting there and say, oh, okay, write in a diary. And I had written so much in high school. I wrote for the school newspaper and stuff, but we didn't have computers back then. So this part of my finger here had a big callus on it from holding the pen too tight, pencil too tight. So I said, now, God, I would write if I had a computer. And the voice didn't say nothing else, because I really didn't want to write in a diary, but I was trying to, act like I was going to do it. I said, but if I had a computer, I sure would write. And Doris and I didn't talk no more that night, and I went on home and had a good night. And I guess about a week later, a customer comes in. We did a sofa for him, and his name was Mr. Murphy. I never will forget it. Mr. Murphy loved his sofa. He was so happy. I said, Mr. Murphy, come on up front and let me finish out your receipt, because he had paid a deposit for the fabric. And I'm writing the receipt for the labor. And Mr. Murphy says, Mary, don't write that receipt out like that. I said, huh? He said, no, I'm going to give you a computer, a printer, and lessons for the balance of this sofa. I said, what? He said, yes, that's what I'm going to do. And he owed $400. So, I got a light bill coming up and summer payroll. I needed that money. And I was getting ready to say, "Oh no, Mr. Murphy." And I was getting ready to say it. And it looked like the Spirit brought that memory back to me where I said, if I had a computer, I would write. And when it came back to my memory, I said, "Oh yes, Mr. Murphy, I'll take it." So he brought the computer and all that stuff the next day, and he was teaching me how to use it and how picking one, two, picking, just because I was kind of scared of that thing. But eventually, I took the computer home, and my oldest son said, "Mama, I'm gonna buy you a better computer for the shop because now you seem like you're interested in computers." Because he had telling me about it, I need to do it, and I was just saying, I'm do it the old way. I write my receipts. So anyway, I began to write my diary, and at first of all, I didn't know. I said, "Well, where am I supposed to begin?" I'm talking to Spirit again, and the Spirit said, "Just talk about your very first memory and just write about things that have happened." So I started writing, and it just gravitated to just such a healing thing to write in a diary. But I put a password on it, and man, when I got to this cleansing my soul about these drugs and stuff, I had got to probably page 100 in my diary, a little over 100. One night, I was talking about my relationship with my drug dealer. She was a woman, and it was so powerful until I cried and I was getting ready to vomit. So I ran to the bathroom, and from the bathroom, I just went to bed and left my diary up on the computer. I plumb forgot I left it up because when I close it out, the diary has a password on it. Nobody's supposed to read that. I get up the next morning and I go in the office, and my youngest son is reading my diary. I said, "Oh my God, I left that thing up." I said, "I see you read my diary, please." And he said, "Mama, I knew he was on drugs, but I didn't know it was like this." He said, "This is going to be a book. This will help a whole lot of people." I said, "Baby, you just don't know. I'm doing this to save myself, to get my mind right." But anyway, with his help, we turned this diary into a book called Going Home Another Way. The journey begins within. So, Spirit led me out of that, and I'm steady listening to this voice. And it was like, I can't say it was a vision because Spirit was leading me step by step by step. And during this time, I didn't have any visions, or I had a lot of daydreaming because I wanted to be free from this drug. The fear, that's what it was. Because, when you can clean yourself up and you believe that you are healed, and you hear so many things about people relapsing, and everybody, it looks like everybody's waiting on you to fall. And you're almost waiting on your own self to fall. So I was just nervous all the time. It's kind of like, how the Bible talk about Peter walking on the water, and he was walking on the water. I didn't say how far he'd been walking, but he was actually walking on the water. So I'm living drug free. But when I look back and say, "Oh, I'm drug free," I'm scared. And that's what happened to Peter. When he realized he was walking on the water, he got afraid and then he fell. So I said, "Oh Lord, I don't want to be like Peter and fail. I've been clean for 9 years now. Come on, come on." And man, I didn't intend for this conversation to go this direction. But anyway, lo and behold, I was drug free in 9 years, turned to 10, 20. And I was always counting. They kicked me out of AA because I said, "Hi, my name is Mary. I used to be a drug addict." And they said, "No, no, no. You have to say I am a drug addict." And so I said, well, I used to be. And he said, you will always be. I said, well, if I used to steal and all of that and I stopped stealing, am I still a thief? He said, you're just trying to take the story out of context. I said, and he said, we don't want you back here no more. I said, okay, I'll stay at home. So I quit going there. But I tell you, when I realized that that is not anything I have to worry about anymore. And so I quit counting the days. 10 years, 20 years. I just, because if I'm going to be clean the rest of my life, so why count? But I tell you, I was just, oh, that's my testimony. That I have a whole lot of things that happened in my life, but I could tell you some stories that would just, you say, she got to be lying. But no, it's all true. And people ask me, one guy was wondering why I, he said, he's trying to get me to come to church. He said, what church you go to? I said, I don't go to church. He said, why you don't go to church? I said, I don't know, I just don't go. He said, do you believe in God? I said, no, I don't believe in God. He said, well, I said, I know God. This man got so mad, he just didn't know what to do. I said, because knowing is better than believing. And I asked him, do you believe in Santa Claus or do you know Santa Claus? So he just walked, he put his hat on his head and he left. He was going to a prayer meeting next door or something like that. But I'm just so relieved that I got this revelation about seeing visions compared to us having daydreams. Because I went to meditation school and learned exactly how to meditate. And everybody know how to meditate, I would think. But it's a method of controlling meditation and actually taking your mind to the place where you want to go and control meditation. I learned how to do that. And I find myself not doing it as much as I used to. But that's doing it is the way I can go into another realm and see more. And it's still a daydream. But within the daydream, there's a total different entity or something to take over. And you say, I wasn't imagining that. Where did you come from? And when that happens, something unexpected come in your meditation, then you are actually getting ready to go to another dimension. But if you reject that, you'll snap out of it real quick. The key is to relax. And it's still your daydream, but because you still have control until you actually hear or see this other person or entity that you did not call up. I said, my son was trying to, I was teaching him how to meditate, and he said, Mama, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And one night I was in the bed, halfway asleep, and he come running in the room. He was about 20 years old. He said, Mama, 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 I did it, I did it. And I said, what is he talking about? I said, what is it? He said, man, Mama, I actually went into the meditation. I said, well, tell me about it. He said he was meditating and just relaxing. He said he realized he was deep in the meditation when Bugs Bunny showed up. I feel like laughing. I said, what? He said, yeah, Bugs Bunny showed up. I said, well, what did Bugs Bunny say? He said, Mama, that scared me so bad till I come out of the meditation. I said, oh, God. So, that's how when you know you are really getting ready to go into another realm. But the key is just to be relaxed and be ready to expect something that you didn't expect. But I do try to preach about meditations and relaxing and stuff. But don't, those of you who are seeing visions and things, and just be careful. Because it's such a thin line between your daydreaming and imagination and actual dreams and stuff. But I've been running my mouth, but I'm in the process of writing another book, and this here revelation about visions and daydreaming that helped me to get to another chapter that I'm writing. So, but I'll let you guys know about the book whenever I get done with it. But please go check out my book, Going Home Another Way. And also look up this book I wrote called Nobody's Here But Us, Looking for God in All the Wrong Places. That's my first fiction book. And I was in a contest with this book, and they actually decided to put my book in the libraries here in Texas. So I was proud of that. But that book, I tell you, when I was writing that book, there were so many characters were coming through me, and it almost got scary. Because I said, oh, I'm going to call this character such and such. And do you know the character was talking to me and saying, that's not my name. And another one said, well, it was your name once upon a time. And I said, what is this? The characters in my mind are arguing with each other. And that was the weirdest thing. It was like they became real. So that's a part of my imagination doing something. I have just a vivid imagination, and different things can get in there when you have that kind of imagination. And you can't always say, well, that was God, but it's most time it'd be your wild imagination. But if you can make that wild imagination, you can write books and all of that, sing songs or whatever, be creative with that wild imagination. It's not a bad thing. You just have to have control and quit saying it's God. God told you, because a lot of times it's just a wild imagination. But check out my books and support me in my endeavors, because I'm getting older, and some days, most days, I don't feel good. But here lately, I'm feeling pretty good because I'm talking. I usually don't talk no more than 6 or 8 minutes. But my doctor told me to stop taking vitamins. She said my everything was elevated and I don't need any B, any more complex, and for me to stay off the vitamins for a whole month and then start taking them every other day. So I'm doing what she said, and I'm feeling better. My pain is still rough though, real bad pain. But I have to take tizanidine, the muscle relaxers, because the MS, it sends false signals that you really hurting and your muscles tighten up, and it's very painful. But I take the muscle relaxer and I sleep for a couple of hours and I'm feeling better. But anyway, I'm gonna clock out and let you know what's going on. I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.